Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestle News 365. Obviously, Survivor Series was last night. We did a watch along on the channel and a review, so be sure to check that out. There'll be some cards and there'll be some links in the description box below going to those videos. But obviously, with Survivor Series comes a lot of WWE news. So we've got a couple of WWE news stories that we're going to talk about today. Specifically, one that involves The Undertaker that I want to get into. I'm really interested in this story, and that is The Undertaker, of course, is he really retired? Is he really retired? After last night's retirement final farewell by the Phenom at Survivor Series, obviously a lot of people are questioning, is this legit? Is The Undertaker ever going to return again? We thought The Undertaker had retired, remember back in 2017 at WrestleMania 33 after that match against Roman Reigns, and then wouldn't you know it, he has several matches after that, including one the next year and the year after that, and even one this year as well. So is The Undertaker retired or not? Some people are questioning it, but a report has come out stating that it does feel like this retirement is indeed legitimate. Now, of course, as I mentioned at last night's WWE Survivor Series event, The Undertaker received his final farewell from the WWE. He had various Hall of Famers, legends, and former WWE superstars there to celebrate the dead man's 30-year career in WWE. But, of course, as always, as I mentioned, there are many fans in the WWE, in the WWE universe, that think that the dead man might come back indeed for one more match, or maybe more than one more match inside the WWE ring. Now, Paul Davis from WrestlingNews.co is now reporting, after last night's final farewell of The Undertaker, he's reporting a variety of topics and viewpoints backstage at Survivor Series last night in the WWE Thunderdome in Orlando, Florida at the Amway Center. Now, according to Davis in this report, The Undertaker was indeed telling people backstage in the Thunderdome that he is done with wrestling. He is very much stated, I have no desire to get back in the ring. I'm done with wrestling. My final match was against AJ Styles at WrestleMania in that Boneyard match. However, it's been stated, and this is an important thing I think as well, it's been stated that WWE Chairman Vince McMahon is not expected to request The Undertaker to come back for a match again. This has been kind of what's been the issue in the past. The Undertaker has attempted to retire on multiple occasions. The Undertaker's attempted to retire, I said, after WrestleMania 33. I think him coming back was more of a deal with him not being happy with the way it ended with Roman Reigns. But after that, then he kept getting calls from Vince McMahon. We've just signed this deal to do the shows in Saudi Arabia. Part of the deal was they really wanted The Undertaker to compete. Do you think you could come out? There's a lot of money involved, for it. Do you think you'd be willing to come out? And that's exactly what happened. The Undertaker came out of retirement for those matches, and it felt like that was the only time we saw The Undertaker most of the time of the year was those Saudi shows, or when they had a big show planned like they did in Australia at Super Showdown in the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Those were always Vince McMahon requests. I don't think The Undertaker really wanted to come back, but they were the request of Vince McMahon saying, I need you, I'm in a pinch. I hate that argument. Of, oh, we're in a pinch, WWE's in a pinch. The reason you need The Undertaker to come out of retirement for those Saudi shows or for Super Showdown or anything like that, the reason why you need that is because you can't build stars. Vince McMahon, for some reason, ever since John Cena has decided, you know what, we're not going to have that big star anymore. We're not going to have that guy that's just the apex of WWE. The days of having Steve Austin, The Rock, or John Cena as having that guy in WWE are over, because now it's about the brand. WWE is the superstar, not the big superstar. And because of that, when you get these shows like in Saudi Arabia, when you get these shows like in Australia, Vince McMahon goes, oh, we need to bring The Undertaker back out of retirement. But now, according to this report, it's expected that the WWE chairman isn't going to request for The Undertaker to come back for a match again. I'll wait and see on that. But the reports also further state that it wasn't easy for Vince McMahon to let go of this character, but it's finally dawned on McMahon that it's finally time to let the Phenom ride off into the sunset, at least the character. I think that's the important point there, and I mentioned this during the watch-along last night, and I think it's important to mention here as well. This final farewell, I think some people will treat it as we're never going to see The Undertaker back on WWE TV again. That's not the case. I really don't think that's the case. I think the version of The Undertaker that we saw last night, the version you see in the on the screen right now, the dead man, the Phenom, he retired last night. We're never going to see him again. We'll see Mark Calloway on WWE TV. I'm sure when they do the whole, the Raw reunion shows and maybe even WrestleMania events or the Hall of Fames, we'll get Mark Calloway. We'll get the American Badass version of The Undertaker. We'll get him come out. what happened last night at Survivor Series was the Undertaker, that version of the Undertaker, the dead man. Let's for argument's sakes, call him the dead man. The dead man retired last night. That character, that version of the Undertaker, will not be seen on WWE TV again. He walked in 30 years ago yesterday. He came in out of the darkness with Brother Love and competed at Survivor Series, and he did the very same last night. He came out of the darkness, said goodbye, and walked back into the darkness. That character is done. And that character won't be seen again on WWE TV, and that's what last night was. That was the final farewell of The Undertaker. And I think that was the whole point of that. The idea that, we're never going to see The Undertaker back on TV, that's not going to happen. We're going to see Mark Calloway on TV. I'm sure he'll come back and do his choke slams and do that kind of deal. I think that's what we're getting when it comes to The Undertaker. So that's what I perceived it as, and I think that's what Vince McMahon and The Undertaker himself perceive it as. It was also reported by Davis in this same report that some people shed tears during this event, during this historical moment, and a lot of footage was shot backstage, which obviously is most likely to make it into WWE Network documentaries in the future. I'm sure we'll have a Day of Survivor Series or WWE 24, Undertaker's Final Farewell and all that kind of stuff. That's par for the course, to be honest, when it comes now with WWE. Whenever they do any event, even during these pandemics when they shouldn't have had people backstage and shouldn't have had people filming, they had people filming. By all accounts, the moment you step into a WWE arena now, you have 500 different camera crews going on, whether they're filming one person for one documentary, one person for another. I'm sure someone right now is having their own Chronicle filmed. I'm sure someone right now is having their own 365 filmed when they follow them around for 365 days a year. Everything is always filmed now in WWE. So I'm sure there will be a ton of footage that we will see over the course of the next couple of months, maybe even a year or so. Who knows how long it will take, but we'll see that behind the scenes footage of this eventually, there's no doubt. But a couple of superstars backstage did reportedly joke that The Undertaker's career is not over, as the company will, obviously the company's deal when it comes to Saudi Arabia, I think it's still got like 8 years left on it. They extended it last year, even though they just settled a lawsuit with their shareholders and stakeholders because of the craziness of the Saudi deal and being hostage in Saudi Arabia, not being able to fly home last year. That craziness, something like nearly $40 million they had to settle out of court because of it. That deal is still in place, and once the pandemic is over, possibly next year, possibly late next year, I think, that we could be seeing WWE go back to Saudi Arabia like nothing happened and continuing to do with these pay-per-views. And it would be interesting to see, are they going to request for The Undertaker to come back? Because we've heard the stories about the people in charge requesting, I want The Undertaker back, or I wanted... That first show they did, that Greatest Royal Rumble show, they requested Yokozuna. Yokozuna's unfortunately been passed away for years and years, so they just got a sumo guy to go out there. That's why they had the sumo guy on there. By all accounts, they requested the Ultimate Warrior too, and it's a similar situation. So if they request, WWE, we want The Undertaker, and they throw enough money, would it happen? You know, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. I don't think The Undertaker wants it, but he said repeatedly at this point, he said it on the Steve Austin Broken Skull Sessions, One More Ride with The Undertaker last night. He said the same thing he said in the Last Ride documentary. He said, I have no desire to get back in the ring. I'm retired, but if Vince McMahon's in a pinch, if in case of emergency, break glass and The Undertaker can come back out one more time, you know, it did feel like a real retirement. And I think for all intents and purposes, it is a real retirement. And I think in The Undertaker's head, it's a real retirement. The question is it in the head of Vince McMahon? Is it a real retirement? Time will tell. Time will tell. So much can and will happen in the space of a week or so, let alone 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. In 12 months' time, is Vince McMahon going to request that The Undertaker comes out of retirement? We'll have to wait and see. I don't know the answer to that one. It will be interesting. Look, The Undertaker is 55 years old. He turned 55 in March of this year during the build to the AJ Styles match. And not that there's ever a cut-off point when it comes to your age about being in the ring, but 55, it's enough. The 30 years of The Undertaker. You had the perfect storybook ending at this year's WrestleMania. Fantastic match, critically acclaimed match. He's not going to do a better match at this point in his career. And later on, do I want to see an Undertaker at the age of 56, 57 return to the ring? Even if it's not the Undertaker character, even if it is the American Badass and Mark Calloway return to the ring? No, I don't. I really don't. But I do see what some of these WWE superstars are saying, when they're saying, well, The Undertaker, he could return to the ring if the money's right. And it's not necessarily if the money's right. The Undertaker has proven time and time and time again that if Vince McMahon asks him to do something, he will do it. He has no problem doing whatever for Vince McMahon because he feels like he owes him. He feels like he owes him. And if the money's right and if Vince McMahon demands it, who knows? Who knows? So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I could certainly, I could certainly see it happening. There's no doubt I could see it happening. I could see it happening. There's absolutely, I could see it happening. But to me, it feels like it's legitimate. And I think for all intents and purposes, it is legitimate. But it isn't the only story we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about who is the next challenger for Roman Reigns' Universal Championship. As you can see on the screen right now, potentially it's been revealed that Roman Reigns' next feud after Survivor Series could be Daniel Bryan. Now, of course, last night at Survivor Series, Roman Reigns reigned supreme at Survivor Series. He defeated WWE Champion Drew McIntyre from Monday Night Raw. Now, even though in the match it wasn't necessarily a clean victory, he used underhand tactics. His cousin Jey Uso got involved. You also had Roman Reigns hit a low blow on the WWE Champion to get the victory. Absolutely match of the night, by the way. That main event was just everything I wanted it to be and more. I hope they have another match sometime down the line, but the more I think about it, the more they do need to be kept separate. I think the reason that match felt so big and felt so special is because they literally are the respective stars of each brand. They are the face of Raw. Drew McIntyre is the face of Raw, and Roman Reigns is the face of SmackDown, and it worked. It worked, and there is no doubt in my mind it was a better match than Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns would have been, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was absolutely fantastic, but Survivor Series has come and gone, and now Survivor Series is done and dusted. Roman Reigns can turn his attention once again to matters on Friday Night SmackDown with superstars on the blue brand, and can try and continue his reign of dominance being the Universal Champion. Now, it was believed previously that Roman Reigns could be entering a feud with Kevin Owens on SmackDown for the Universal Championship, but as a report per Cage Side Seats, easy for me to say, Roman Reigns' next contender will be none other than the former WWE Champion himself, Daniel Bryan. The report does state that a feud between Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan will start in full this coming week after Bryan is finished with Roman Reigns' cousin Jey Uso. The report stated, quote, Roman Reigns' feud with Daniel Bryan should start soon, likely after Bryan faces Jey Uso again. Now, what is the story behind Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan? Well, of course, Daniel Bryan returned to in-ring action a few weeks back on SmackDown. He had been off with paternity leave after Brie Bella gave birth to their second child. But the leader of the Yes Movement faced Jey Uso in a Survivor Series qualification match. Many, including yours truly, thought that Daniel Bryan was to win that match, but Daniel Bryan lost. And Daniel Bryan lost clean to Jey Uso, and Jey Uso qualified for the Survivor Series men's team that we saw him compete in last night. Then after the match, at this point Jey Uso was still a babyface. This was coming after Hell in a Cell. After the match, Roman Reigns then instructed his cousin Jey Uso to brutally attack Daniel Bryan after the match, which the former SmackDown Tag Team Champion did do. The severity of the beating was so bad that Daniel Bryan did a stretcher job. He was stretchered out of the WWE Thunderdome and was unable to compete for several weeks. But Daniel Bryan returned to SmackDown last week, managed to pick up a victory against Jey Uso, and it looks like he's going to be facing Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship going forward. Of course, Daniel Bryan is one of the most popular babyfaces on SmackDown, and having him feud with Roman Reigns makes total sense to me. It certainly feels like a big match. This was the feud that we were promised, and we felt like we were getting all of 2019. Remember, Daniel Bryan was still a heel at this point, and Roman Reigns was the top babyface on SmackDown back when it was on USA Network for SmackDown Live, and it felt like we were going to get Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. I think a lot of people thought we were going to get it at SummerSlam. This was during the whole who attacked Roman Reigns debacle, and eventually they shifted plans, and it was Rowan that attacked Roman Reigns, and instead we never got the Daniel Bryan-Roman Reigns match. Instead, we had both guys team up and have tag team matches against the likes of Rowan and Luke Harper at the time, and Daniel Bryan turned babyface, and we never got the Roman Reigns-Daniel Bryan match, unfortunately. We might have actually got it on SmackDown. I don't know if it actually happened. Regardless, we never got the Daniel Bryan-Roman Reigns feud that we thought we were going to get. And then fast forward to 2020, and the roles have reversed. Now Daniel Bryan is the babyface and Roman Reigns is the heel, and they're both in the roles that I think they thrive the most. I will say that Daniel Bryan is just as good as heel as he is a babyface. There's no doubt in my mind. And this is a money feud. It's an absolute money feud. And Daniel Bryan isn't going to become the Universal Champion, especially at this point in his career. I think he's probably won all the world titles he's going to win. Daniel Bryan has stated several times this is his last full-time run in WWE. That's not to say that he's going to retire once this full-time run finishes, but he'll become probably a part-time superstar. He already works on the creative team for SmackDown, sits in on writing meetings, pitches things for several superstars, most of the time not including himself. He tries to get younger talent over. He put over Jey Uso clean in the middle of the ring a couple of weeks ago. Like I said, why? To get Jey Uso over. Jey Uso is now over as a single star. Why? Because Jey Uso beat the likes of AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's a big influence in that. But I'm excited for this. I think Roman Reigns, everything he does in this new character, this Godfather, head of the table character, is just sheer perfection. It is sheer perfection. Absolutely fantastic. Last night was no different. His psychology in this character is second to none. Absolutely second to none. His psychology, his storytelling, the way that he evokes emotion from a virtual audience. A crowd isn't even there. Imagine a crowd was there. Imagine the reactions he would be getting. He'd be, ironically, being a heel, the biggest babyface on SmackDown. The reactions he would be getting is absolutely incredible. There's no wasted movement when it comes to Roman Reigns right now. Everything he does has purpose. Everything he does tells a story. Everything he does is meaningful. He hasn't lost since his return, but it's not even about that because he is untouchable right now. And this is the problem. I think the reason people turned against Roman Reigns for all of those years was because he was being forced down people's throats. You have to like this guy. You have to like this guy, and we don't care. The booking of him was terrible. The booking was bad, but most importantly, the character was bad. He was trying to be Hulk Hogan. It's not his fault. He was being told to do. He was doing exactly what he was being told to do, but he was being Hulk Hogan. He was the goody two-shoes babyface, come out smiling. He might as well have said, say your prayers and eat your vitamins. He might as well have said that. He was being booked as 1985 Hulk Hogan. And fans don't want that. Fans turned against him. In 2020 and 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, 2015, fans hate being told what to do. They hate it. If you meet someone, so imagine you've got a friend of yours, they go, "You've never met my friend, you'll love him, you have to love him, Isn't he the best? He's the best, he's the funniest guy, he's the best guy, you like him, right? You like him, you should like him, why don't you like him?" Eventually you'll be like, "I haven't even met the guy yet and I hate him." Why? Because I'm being told to like him every 5 seconds. You have to be more subtle than that nowadays. You have to convince the fans to like it. If the end goal here is to make Roman Reigns likable and make Roman Reigns even bigger and more over as a babyface, but you have to be more subtle about it. Don't tell the fans you have to like him. Make sure the fans like him. Why? Because the character's that good. Every single time throughout history, the biggest babyfaces, how do they start off? They get over as heels. It's always been the case. The Undertaker last night starts off as a heel in his WWE run. He gets so over as a heel that he has to become a good guy. Steve Austin gets hot as a heel, becomes a good guy. The Rock starts off as a heel, gets over, becomes a good guy. John Cena starts off as a heel because when he turned to the rapping gimmick, got so over he had to become a good guy. That's how it works. It's how it works in pro wrestling. It's how it works in films. The biggest and best villains eventually become the heroes because they're so cool. Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator. It's the way it works. Even the Joker, I know the Joker is a heel, but he's so popular at this point. He's getting his own origin movies and singular films with Joaquin Phoenix. Why? Because the character's so good and so strong. It's the same in pro wrestling. You get over as a heel, you get over so much that you become a popular babyface. And to be honest, I'm stunned. I am and I'm not stunned. It took this long for them to realise that with Roman Reigns. Regardless, he is just knocked out of the park. I thought his match last night against Drew McIntyre was the best match on the show. It really was. And I'm excited for this feud with Daniel Bryan. I think it's going to be something really, really interesting. Excited to see, I'm guessing, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at TLC. And I'm excited to see how Jey Uso and eventually Jimmy Uso factors into this. So excited for this one on SmackDown, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the news stories that we saw today? Let me know your thoughts. To see the Undertaker there. Let me know your thoughts about the WWE news stories we presented today. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, chatting about WWE, so be sure to leave a comment below. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.